Lucy, you know what? If you are inside for the next day or two, this soup would be a perfect thing to make.
That's what I thought. With all the bad weather, soup is always a good idea. And today I thought we would make spaghetti soup. So what I already have in the pot is 1.5 pounds of ground chuck, whatever you want to use, or you could use ground turkey. And I chopped up a bunch of vegetables. I have a red and a green bell pepper. I have some carrots, celery, and onion. And I just tossed these in the food processor and chopped them up however you want them. I thought I had chopped them up enough for the kids.
Oh, okay.
So Nick and Jack loved it. They ate this last night, but the girls were still picking out a lot of the vegetables. So I've done this trick before, and I've showed y'all that hidden veggie spaghetti, and usually I chop up the vegetables a little more fine than this, but I thought we were there with the girls, but we weren't there with the girls. So if you do have kids, you may want to go a little farther in the food processor on that chopping.
We are definitely not there yet. I hoped we would be, but the example, my wife made a chicken taco thing the other night. She put a little bit of salsa sauce in, like with the chicken meat and all that. There were little chunks of tomatoes that people were picking out here and there. So yeah, dice them up as much as you need to if this is for the kids. Yes,
so I'm just going to cook this. I have it over high heat. We're just going to cook it for about 15 minutes, let the meat and the veggies cook down, and then we'll add in our spices and kind of keep going with it. So a lot of people have been making that lasagna soup, but I kind of like the idea of the smaller, thin spaghetti noodles.
Sure. Well, definitely good to have options out there, and you can find all the ingredients of this at your local Greer's. When we come back, what are we going to be doing next, Lucy?
All right, if there is any excess liquid in this after it cooks, then I'll just drain it off. And then we're going to hit our spices and our tomato paste to that heat and let those flavors wake up, and then we'll keep moving.
All right, a soup sounds like a good idea to have around the house right now, Chelsea.
Welcome back on a Wednesday. We're with our good friend Lucy Greer with Greer's. And what are we making today?
We're making spaghetti soup today.
Yum.
So perfect for the weather, like we said. And our meat and our veggies look great in here. Everything, all the excess liquid from the veggies and everything is cooked out. So we had 1.5 pounds. I just used ground chuck. We chopped up some celery, carrots, onions, a red and a green bell pepper. And I just mentioned before that I just did that in the food processor. And Nick and Jack were great with it last night. They ate 2 bowls, and then the girls were picking around the vegetables, so I should have chopped them up a little more. But so if you do have little ones in the house, that's just kind of a good tip. But make sure you process them up really fine in the food processor if you're going to do that.
You win some, you lose
I know,
some.
I know. So you know.
And you did both last night. You won
I won and
lost.
lost. Yeah, that's pretty much all the time with me. When you have 4 kids, it's really hard to please everyone.
Right.
So now I'm going to add in some seasonings. I have salt and pepper. I'm going to add in garlic powder, oregano, thyme, and basil. And I'm also going to add in 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. And just one trick when you are using dried herbs and spices like I do all the time, it is really a good idea to let them hit the heat before you add in your other stuff. And the same thing with tomato paste.
No way.
If we just let it heat up like this, it just kind of helps waken those flavors.
Right.
And so I kind of like to just hit this around, let it hit the heat before I add in our other stuff. And while I'm letting that heat up, you and I were talking about broth and bouillon cubes and box broth or canned broth. I like to keep, and we do the same thing.
Right.
I keep beef and chicken bouillon cubes in the pantry to make broth. I don't always have box broth, and it's really cost effective to use those little cubes. And also, you can use these jars too. So I just had this vegetable base in the fridge, these jars you keep in the fridge, and I'm going to use vegetable broth anyway. So I was like, well, I don't really need to buy a can of it. I can just use water, and it's going to save me a lot of money.
And there you have it.
All you have to do is just add it to the water. And it doesn't have to be perfectly dissolved, because we're just going to add it in here. So if you are, every penny counts these days, especially. So that's just kind of a good money-saving tip right there. And also, you can kind of stretch it out too. If you ever find that box broth is too salty for you,
Right.
then when you make your own, you can just cut down how much you're going to add.
That's right. Well, she's going to add that. We're running short on time,
Oh, yeah, go
Lucy.
ahead.
So when we come back with Joe, we're going to talk about the stores being open today and tomorrow,
Okay.
what you need to know, and how to stay updated if you want to go get your groceries this afternoon. Spaghetti soup, more of it heading our way, Joe.
All right, so Lucy and I were just talking, as of this point, hoping and hopefully anticipating no store closings in the area due to the weather. But if there is a chance of that or something happens, how do they follow along with that to know what's going on, Lucy?
Yes, we keep all that information on Facebook. So if we ever have to close early, or if there is any damage and we're not able to open, the following day after a storm, we watch really closely. Of course, it's twofold. We want to be there for the communities that we serve, but of course we take the safety of our team members very seriously. So yeah, if you follow on Facebook, then you can see exactly what's going on in your Greers and whatever area you're in.
Yeah, it's kind of prepare for the worst, but hope for the best, and hope everything goes forward smoothly for everyone involved. I see you are continuing to work on your soup here.
Yes, we made spaghetti soup. So we started out with ground chuck, and we chopped up a bunch of vegetables in there, whatever you have on hand, which is great. I just used red and green bell pepper, celery, onion, and carrots, but it's really a great thing to clean out the fridge. You could use zucchini, you could use mushrooms, whatever you have. Fresh spinach in here would be great. So I cooked the veggies and the meat down, and then we added in some tomato paste and all of our seasoning, salt, pepper, garlic powder, some thyme, oregano, and basil. And then we just added in 1 big can of crushed tomatoes and 1 can of tomato sauce and some veggie broth. And we just let that simmer for a little bit, and then I just added in, this is just half of a pound, so 8 ounces of spaghetti noodles, and I just broke those into thirds, and we'll just let these noodles simmer in here for about 10 minutes, and then supper will be ready.
All right, that all sounds good. If you are looking for a recipe when you're inside, not only is the smell going to be good because we are all getting hungry here in the studio, but also you're going to have it for a while too, because it makes a lot.
Absolutely. It makes a huge pot, and this is great to freeze as well. So coming up on soup season, just remember that if you can't eat it all, if you don't want to eat something for a week straight, then you can freeze some of it.
And if you have picky kids and you don't have a food processor, you're going to be chopping up those vegetables real small like. All right, great stuff, Lucy. Good to see you. Stay safe. Hope all your employees and all your stores do well throughout the storms here, and we'll keep you posted on all of that. Chelsea?